Hello, welcome back to another episode of Forgetting Every Voice.
We are doing this again. And just reassigning voices, apparently, almost every time.
Yeah, because there's such a gap every time between episodes. Or between recording sessions, rather.
Wait, when was the last time we recorded?
Like, more than a month ago.
That's a while.
It's a little while.
That's just a little.
Okay, this was definitely your character.
Oh, right. Probably, yeah. Look at that crowd.
Wait, have we been over this?
Probably, yeah.
I feel like we've been over this. Hang on.
Is there another load point?
April 15. I don't know, because usually the saves transfer over. Maybe not. Let me just skip through this to just see. Yeah, we've been through this. I think it's telling that we couldn't even tell because the dialogue is just naturally repetitive.
It's telling that we couldn't tell.
Yeah.
It's a lot of telling to do. And we got through all the talk in the two sides.
I like how the scene just has him like jumping around all over.
It's just everywhere all at once. Bang. It's just a bunch of noises. What was that one? That's a weird noise. Yeah, we got through this part, yeah?
Okay, I believe that's where we actually were. And we just wasted 30 minutes.
Oops.
When the Ciconia stop becoming a country has no future, King of Ridicule. Okay, whatever. I guess I won't include all of that. But I'll probably do a really quick fast forward.
Even quicker than the fast forward in the game.
True. You'll get to see the fast forward in the fast forward.
Fast forward.
That's right. The elevator kept going down and down beneath the earth. Inside was a short man in a suit who seemed a bit scared, and two sunglass-wearing soldiers on either side of him wearing bulletproof vests and wielding state-of-the-art carbines, or however you say that. Sorry, I got phlegm built up. Like a side effect of medicine.
Just casually dying.
Yeah. There was nothing that identified the troops' nationality or affiliation. Even their guns were the latest model from a famous manufacturer which wasn't in use by official militaries. All this made it easy to guess that they were either personally hired soldiers or mercenaries of some sort. However, there was nothing unrefined about the elevator or their behavior or attire. And there wasn't even a speck of dust to be seen, much less trash lying about. It was almost painfully refined, and the man in the suit seemed to be overwhelmed by it. The music in this game is really different to, like, Higurashi or Umineko's visual novel soundtrack. It feels like they're going for, like, a movie feel with this game.
Yeah.
It was almost painfully refined, and the man in the suit seemed to be overwhelmed by it. Eventually, after descending for several minutes, the elevator finally stopped.
Why are they doing that, like, the movie thing?
I don't know. I guess it's just the aesthetic. When the door opened with a faint swoosh, it revealed a massive, dimly lit space behind it. It was lifeless, tasteless, and simple, without any sort of decoration. However, it also had a noble feeling, as if it hadn't deigned to comfort the changing modes of decoration throughout the eras. Whom? In that massive space were two shadows that appeared to be girls. However, something about them seemed odd.
You don't say.
I think a few things do. For example, the objects seemingly attached to their left arms were definitely gauntlets. As the girl's expressionless eyes slowly turned to face the man in the elevator, they quietly held out their right arms. There, with a scattering of angel feathers, two oversized 76mm 62 caliber super rapid cannons designed for warships were summoned into existence.
But question is, why does everything have such long names?
Because sci-fi. These clearly weren't weapons that one individual was supposed to use against another. It was almost as though they'd summoned giant metal beasts so big that one had to look up to see them, and it looked like their tamers were just about to order them to strike. The man let out a small cry and flinched at this greeting, but the cannons weren't pointing at him. They were aimed behind him, at the two soldiers who had brought him here. The soldiers had not been given permission to take even one step out of the elevator into this space. They were aware of this, so they had pushed the other man in the back, telling him to go on alone. After the man left the elevator quivering, the door shut with a faint sound, and it disappeared into the darkness. When only the suited man was left, the girls erased the cannons they'd summoned. Where is this place? Did you two call me here? The girls didn't answer. On the contrary, they were completely expressionless, as if they hadn't noticed the man talking to them. Then the man, who was quivering more than ever, was finally answered by a voice.
Guess I'll do this one as soon as it... Welcome, Doctor, to our research center.
A woman in a lab coat walked out of the darkness and greeted the man. The man, who hadn't been able to communicate with anyone else since coming here, was so relieved that he broke out into a cold sweat. However, the expression of relief changed into shock when the woman finished walking out of the shadows. Hey, look, it's not Takno from Higurashi.
Totally.
No, that's not possible. I mean, you're... Activating facial recognition software. Identifying. The man opened a Cellcom, a facial recognition app. A Cellcom is like a smartphone or a personal computer that exists in your brain, otherwise known as imagination. In this era, it was easy to take things you saw with your naked eye and save them as images or look them up on the net. Complete. First possible match, 97%. Via Dreisig, physicist. Bio, a young genius physicist from ABN Germany who invented the spiridium high-efficiency energy conversion technique, also known as Dreisig conversion. She was awarded the Bernhard Prize in Physics for this achievement. However, on December 9th, the day before the ceremony, she disappeared from the hotel in Oslo, where she was staying. 2 days later, on December 11th, a roasted body was found in the city trash incinerator, and it was later confirmed to be Dreisig herself. The investigation team eventually concluded that she got drunk, accidentally went to a collection hatch of an automated trash collector, failed to respond to repeated warnings, and was then thrown into an incinerator and killed in a tragic accident.
Wow.
However,
such tragedy.
However, because of Dreisig's accomplishments and various conspiracy theories, many are still convinced that she was assassinated by someone. Ah.
Are you looking me up with your Cellcom?
I see. Looks like the Oslo City Police made a mistake. But it's strange. This year, you should be... But you still look like you're...
Come now, Doctor. This is a world of those who are not human.
You mean like witches?
Maybe. We've already been free from the concept of time, which makes people age. There's no time for that.
Since he was coming from a genius physicist, he couldn't tell if it was true or if she was trying to confuse him. He only knew that a genius physicist who had supposedly died mysteriously was alive and had appeared in front of him looking just like she had back then. After that, the man started asking questions about Jaisish's research. In this area, even an empty-handed human could search for information with their cell code at will. It wouldn't be impossible to mimic someone else if you really wanted to. However, searching for information was completely different from understanding it. After asking several questions, the man had to admit that the woman in front of him was either Vio Jaisish herself, or at least a genius scientist on the same level. People who seemed to be scientists in lab coats occasionally appeared in this bleak dim space. Dim space. The man had casually tried to use facial recognition on all of them. First possible match, 98%. Vitali Abrikosov, physicist. First possible match, 96%. David Wilczek, physicist. First possible match, 97%. Okawa Seiei, physicist.
Why are names so hard to pronounce?
What on earth? Just by face matching a few people walking by, he was building up a list of young physicists representing the entire world. And all of them had vanished after mysterious disappearances or accidents. It's true that some conspiracy theorists have amused themselves with a string of famous genius physicists who have mysteriously disappeared or died over the past few decades. What on earth? What on earth?
Maybe it's not on Earth.
So, you're all alive?
No, it's probably fair to say that we're dead.
Just fades away.
After all, none of the people here have any ties to the surface anymore. Compared to the joy of attaining ultimate wisdom, wealth, fame, family, and children mean nothing.
All the genius scientists who had just walked by were incredibly enthusiastic for their ages, almost like kids who were planning some sort of prank. Rather than charming, it was a little disturbing, as though the ideals that dominated the space were completely different from the real world.
And I see that you too are the sort of person who longs to join our side, even if it means abandoning everything you've gained on the surface.
Indeed. If I'm able to touch just a bit of God's wisdom, I don't care if I have to sacrifice all my wealth and fame to do it. It's a line all scientists feel saying at least once when they're drunk. And in fact, he said this whenever he got the chance. He had never imagined that someone would actually respond to that call like this.
This is a research institution, but we don't call it research. We call it translation.
We don't call it research. We call it an institution. Translation.
If the techniques of the gods were written down in the languages of the gods, do you think mere humans would be able to read it?
I see. So you call it translation. When you make a discovery, no matter how ground-shaking and ingenious it is, it won't be of any use unless the average person can understand it. I mean, not really. I bet most people don't understand how a microwave works.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably.
In other words, without the power of translation, all ingenious discoveries get treated the same as the occult. Genius scientists have a desire to make discoveries, but they also have a desire to translate discoveries made by people far more ingenious than them. This desire is held only by a few who are hailed as geniuses. Because they're geniuses, they're saddened by the fact they will never be an even greater genius. They want to touch sparks of inspiration from far greater geniuses to translate them. They don't want to be called geniuses, they want to touch the wisdom of people they would call geniuses.
In this place, several miraculous techniques that we can't even understand are waiting to be translated.
What kind of mysterious techniques?
If you truly join us as a comrade, I'll show you.
You aren't about to tell me That it's super high technology from some ancient unknown civilization or something, right?
Would there be some sort of problem if that were the case?
The man attempted to joke casually, trying to make it seem as though he had grown comfortable with the situation. However, a clearly disappointed expression rose to Vier's face. That doesn't look discomforted.
It looks weird. Whether it's super high technology from an ancient civilization or alien technology, or an akashic record built into the fabric of reality, can the source of wisdom ever be a problem?
No.
All of our comrades here simply view the attainment of the ultimate wisdom as their greatest joy. They don't mind putting their wealth, fame, even their lives on the line for the sake of that joy. You feel the same, don't you? Just says no.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Doctor?
This really was a world of people who were not human, just as she'd said. Yes, everyone here is dead. They have already died in our world. Does that make this the underworld dizzyingly far beneath the ground? Undertale theme starts. If I've been invited here while I still live. Maybe they thought we were arguing, but those gauntlet girls were staring at us through the darkness.
You repeatedly said through your kitsune that you wouldn't mind losing your life if you could touch the wisdom of the gods, yes? It says no anyways.
I just realized.
E?
These designs are a little bit familiar.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Okay. And your achievements more than qualify you to be welcomed in as our comrade. It seems strange to me. When I was first invited here, I was ecstatic, like a maiden in love for the first time. However, you've been fairly lukewarm for a while now.
No. I haven't been able to fully appreciate how amazing this place is. In the first place, I haven't even had a chance to see this wisdom you're talking about. This wisdom is so captivating that it made so many geniuses abandon everything on the surface. Unless you show me, I won't be able to take this all in.
We are not supposed to show anyone who hasn't sworn to become our comrade, but if it means we'll be able to gain your rare talent, I suppose I could show you before you make your oath.
Okay.
Okay. However...
Vier brought her lips to the man's ear. Her breath didn't carry the warmth of the living. It was the breath of the land of the dead, at the bottom of the earth.
The earth isn't flat, though. Before that, I want you to tell us about those people we love. Before that, I want you to tell us about those people we love and respect so much.
You're right, the world is a dodecahedron. What do you mean?
You know, those people. Come on, I mean the ones who are always giving you their support. Tell me about the three kings who ordered you to investigate this place.
Crap. I need to ask them for help. Error. Salcom OS has encountered a fatal error, Pollo. We recommend that you reinstall, Pollo. Otherwise, please visit at the help desk Salcom shop near you, Pollo. What happened all of a sudden? Did it bug out? No.
I love welcoming in guests. I love getting to share the moment of trembling excitement felt by our true newly awakened comrades. We sometimes get minions sent by those three like you, but nearly everyone else learned the joy of touching wisdom and converting over to our side, becoming our comrades, like we're in Russia. Stop trying to ask them for help, Doctor. I want to hear your own heartfelt words. Will you become our comrade or not? I couldn't bear to see one of your talent waste away on the surface, ignorant of the joy of touching wisdom. Understand?
Then there was a shriek and a cackling voice suddenly rang out.
Scree!
It was one of the scientists that had walked past them. The genius physicist from AOU Japan, Ogawa Seie. He was facing the empty darkness, cackling all on his own.
He also came here as an agent of the Three Kings at first.
That's promising.
However, when he learned the joy of touching wisdom, he decided to become our comrade and abandon everything on the surface.
Cackle, 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 cackle. The mysterious laugh didn't seem like it could possibly belong to someone with the gentlemanly attitude he had been known for. It was as though everything that wasn't necessary for this translation job she had mentioned had been ripped out of him. For the first time, the visitor deeply regretted accepting the task out of a faint curiosity, as if it had been some sort of strange spy game. He suddenly realized that there were about 7 or 8 of those inhuman gauntlet girls nearby, forming a large circle around them. Jaden is currently intercepting a CIWS cannon, Poyo. Interception rate 68, Poyo. Meow is now summoning a missile dispensal, Poyo. Meow has begun accessing attack drone unnamed, Poyo. Jaden is now summoning a high maneuverability guided missiles, Poyo.
That's our Meow. What an efficient checkmate, yeah?
He noticed that Jaden's missile interception was taking too long, so we made a second and third move without hesitation.
He finished his prep by summoning an automatic weapon, and now he's gonna hit him with everything he's got.
Wake me up when it's my turn. Jaden's Reaper Eye is targeted drone unnamed, Polio. Meow is summoning a cluster-style high maneuverability guided missiles, Pollo. This is the end, Pollo. Hahaha, Kero.
And that's a match. The drone's a decoy, nya. He totally got taken in by Meow's pattern, yeah.
Damn it, am I not gonna make it?
This is the end.
A splendid barrage of cluster missiles to match the automated attack by the missile dispenser. If he gets swallowed by that saturation bombardment, it's over. Stares blankly. That's in quotes for some reason.
Yeah.
And that's the match, Pollo.
What if you just said stares blankly?
Jaden hit by 19 high maneuverability missiles, Pollo. Verdict downed, Pollo. Meow wins, Pollo. Congrats. Please wait for an appraisal from the AI command center, Pollo.
Good work, you two. Lydia, Koshka, you're up next. Roger, yeah?
Gonna take a stim. Give me a second. The Gauntlet Knights were constantly undergoing strict training. However, none of the adult instructors who taught them could use gauntlets. For that reason, their teaching would sometimes include armchair reasoning that put too much focus on the wrong things. The only way to make up for that was, as you might expect, to self-train with other Gauntlet Knights you knew well. By now, mutual training with other members of the first generation of Gauntlet Knights was a more effective means of skill building than their official training. In fact, even fighter pilots who had advanced war from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions for the first time ever had honed their abilities by self-training among their first generation.
To be honest, sometimes the word Gauntlet Knights, I sometimes almost want to say Gauntlet Knives.
Okay. No. Wait, isn't that the thing that's in, like, Assassin's Creed?
Probably. That's probably why I thought about it.
No, the same thing probably applies to all skill sets. This first generation has no textbooks or instructors. Only a desire for self-improvement and mutual training can lead them higher. After that, mock battles combining all sorts of situations continued to take place in the simulator room. The data was precisely analyzed by Meow, their unofficial lecturer, and issues were pointed out to all present. Of course, the others also analyzed Meow and pointed out his issues. All of this data was also made public to the newbie Gauntlet Knight underclassmen, furthering improvement of their techniques.
That face, though. That is a hallway.
In the cafeteria where young Gauntlet Knights gathered, Warcat and Gravemon were having a review meeting for their most recent self-training session, which doubled as a Mitake Meow lecture. Crowds of underclassmen had gathered, hoping to learn something from this critique of the Aces training. However, at a glance, it didn't look like a review meeting. It just looked like everyone was stuffing their faces at a dessert buffet. This was because of a trait peculiar to Gauntlet Knights, a desire to eat way too many sweet things after training. The Gauntlet's energy source was spiridium through the atmosphere, but it couldn't be used directly. It only became usable energy through a dry siege conversion that made use of brain filter. When that happened, it put a great strain on the brain, using up a large amount of glucose. However, considering the massive amount of energy the conversion gave them, this was a very small price to pay. For that reason, all of them were desperate to eat sweets after training. The Gauntlet Knight-only cafeteria had a vast dessert menu, and was popular with Gauntlet girls too. So their review meetings always took place while they ate and drank sweet things.
What even is that? Nipa nipa, look how big my dessert barbarian is, nya.
Where's the plum jelly?
It's all gone, nya. I thought you'd want some, so I took every last drop, nya.
The face. But I think I'll gouge out your eyeballs instead.
Go ahead and do it if you think you can, yeah. Please be quiet, you two. We're still having a review meeting. Next, look at Gunhill's movement data. In particular between Flag A and Flag B. She does a magnificent spiral, keeping her speed.
I don't like the feeling of pressure that anti-GAMS gives you, so I'll try to avoid ricochet flight whenever possible.
Gauntlet Knights can move in many ways that would be impossible for a fighter plane. That's because your internal 8MS reduces your Gs. However, the more impossible your movements are, the more energy is expended. In the worst case scenario, it can leave you open for an instant when you aren't expecting it. So when you don't need to move in dramatic ways, you should avoid fighting gravity as much as possible. When doing that, the built-up knowledge of the fighter pilots can be extremely useful. Underclassmen, make sure you don't slack off in your studies either.
The underclassmen gave a big nod, taking notes. I like how they're just like one character. Maybe it's amusing that even in an era where you could control sight and sound at will inside your brain, young people still took notes. Of course, if you've got a mental monitor and a mental tablet, you can also take mental notes. However, there was still a strong superstition that moving your hand to write things down made it easier to remember, and lots of youngsters followed it. Apparently, though, they were actually doing this because taking mental notes made it look like you weren't paying attention, so they wrote things down with their hands to make it clear to onlookers that they were taking this seriously. That's probably because old guys from the old era had the bad habit of assuming people weren't paying attention if they didn't see everyone taking notes.
Ooh, wow. Of course. On the other hand, Jaden's style of fighting is more infantry-like, making use of obstructions that lay the lay of the land. Gauntlet Knights can instantly turn a battlefield from an aerial fight to a land fight and back again. Unless you regularly practice all types of fighting, you won't be able to use your weapons no matter how many you have.
For going there, you seamlessly change your fighting style, whether it's a land fight or an aerial fight, in the city or in the skies. Look at your movements around the flag I just set. They're nothing less than beautiful. Nice work, Meow. Twinkle.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's about time for questions. Please ask whatever you'd like. The underclassmen eagerly raised their hands. Of course, they're one character. They all wanted to fly freely through the sky as soon as possible, just like the aces. It was hardly surprising. This was flying through the sky unaided like a bird. Who hasn't had that dream at least once? However, though that dream had failed to come true for thousands of years, it was finally possible in this era. And these people were just a step away from reaching it. Jaden remembered how he'd felt at that time. Come to think of it, didn't Meow himself fly in the simulator on the day of the Battle Standard Festival to remember that beginner's enthusiasm? I guess it's important to remember that passion every now and then. Who? Who's I?
Good question.
Suspicious. After piling a bunch of sweet items from the dessert buffet on my plate, I said, okay, I guess it's just Jaden. You're right, Meow.
Yes.
Every now and then, we've got to remember that simply flying through the sky is fun. When you look these kids in the eyes, the memories that come back, it's so refreshing.
It's just...
Oh, looks like you've got quite a pile going on there too, Meow. You always make your toppings look so pretty. I just do whatever, since it's all going right in my stomach anyway, but it seems you got a good artistic sense for these things. I've got my usual cornflakes covered in chocolate and sugar and honey. Chocolate and sugar and honey. Sounds like something you would eat. Then you pour ice cream over it and cover it with nuts.
Honestly, maybe minus the honey, because I don't really like honey, but everything else, yes.
It's all mixed up like pig slop. What's wrong? Why are you staring at me? Got a stomachache? Meow was staring, apparently irritated by something. Did I do something to piss him off? But if that's true, he's the kind of guy who would say so as a reflex. I've never seen him just stare at me scornfully like this. Meow has sent you movement data from the mock battle Puyo. What, haven't you lectured me enough? Oh, or you're going to compliment me because you realized I did something smart.
In the mock battle just now. Actually, in all your mock battles lately. Compare it to the data from our previous mock battles. There's been a change in your tendencies.
Hey, why don't you just say it with your mouth?
Shut up. My mouth is busy eating.
Okay, I get it. Then I'll let my mouth focus on eating too. When they were face to face, they tended to speak mentally only when it was something tough to hear, like a warning or something you'd only actually say because you're friends. I have a feeling the stuff that they consider to be in that category is different from most people. So Jaden tensed up. So what kind of change have you seen in my fighting tendencies? My scores aren't bad, right? If anything, they're slowly getting higher, aren't they?
I'll admit that, and I've got no complaints. It's just, well...
What is it? Come on, say it. We're friends, aren't we?
Lately, you've been creeping me out.
Huh? What did you just say?
Before, you were a lot more brutal when you fight. You did things you could never do in a real battle, things that were obviously just you screwing around.
I'm just holding off on that since you keep getting mad at me and telling me not to fight that way.
In the past, I'm pretty sure you found it funny that I got mad and just acted even worse. Well, enough about that. Set it aside. What's creeping me out is the stuff like what happened just now, for instance.
What? If you've got a problem, then spit it out.
I like how you said whether it's a land fight or an aerial fight, you're nothing less than beautiful. Nice work, Meow. Sparkle, what the heck was that?
How the hell is that creepy? If anything, you're being creepy. got a problem, tell me it directly with your mouth. As a side note, most lovers' quarrels in this area begin with the man freaking out and saying, if you've got a problem, tell me it directly with your mouth. Just it's like a translator note.
Okay, then I will say it with my mouth.
Of course, this was always the second line in such quarrels.
What? Wait. What is it you said when you saw me eating this?
Mouth is just so wide.
Big mouth. Oh, looks like you got quite a pile going there too, meow, and so on. You've got a good artistic sense for these things, wahaha. Nope. The old you would have said that.
True enough, the old Jaden always teased Meow and called him a kid when he saw something like that. However, Meow had noticed a clear change in the way Jaden had been acting towards him.
And after we finished training, whenever I was worn out, you'd say I was pathetically thin and tell me to bulk up more, right? But now what do you do? What did you do today?
Hey, nice work, Meow. You're covered in sweat. Want to use my towel? Hey, your sweat smells pretty good. You're doing great considering how slim you are, but don't overdo it, okay? You can rely on me whenever you want to, got it? Thumbs up. Sparkle. That's just normal bonding between guys, right? Anyway, we're partners.
Won't deny it, and I know you're my partner. But you've gone a bit overboard lately. Like, it's weird the way you touch me. What? You're getting too close and it's grossing me out. Don't rub my shoulder, don't sniff me, don't mess with my hair. Imagine being sniffed.
Hey, don't say that with your mouth. People misunderstand.
I thought you were the one who wanted me to talk with my mouth.
Meow leapt to his feet, slammed his tree down in the return gate, and tried to leave. Jaden returned to Stray 2 and chased after him. Oh, it's rare to see those two argue out loud.
Sparkle, I don't really get it, but I'll just go ahead and report this to Yellow.Shavit.
That's the idol nuns.
Oh. Idol nuns.
Hey, wait, Meow. Jeez, you're just adorable.
I told you you're creeping me out.
What are you pouting for? It's not like I'm making fun of you, okay? Just a term of endearment, right?
I told you you're creeping me out. But I'm not your bride or your girlfriend or your sister or your pet. Why?
See, you got so excited you tripped. Are you okay?
I told you, don't cling to me like it's totally normal, okay? Let go.
Just a reminder, these people are going to be brutally murdered in like 2 chapters, probably.
Probably.
If you brush me off like that, it just makes me want to creep you out even more.
What? What are you doing with your fingers? Well, that's not something.
Here, goody goody goody.
What? Stop, that tickles.
Are your shoulders feeling a bit stiff?
Stop that, it tickles. It tickles with a bunch of L.
Your back must be really stiff, Meow. Let's see, is this your weak spot? The instant he pressed his fist into the back of Meow's shoulder blade, the latter let out a strange voice he had never heard before, arcing backwards and twitching. Meow was looking at Jaden with a flushed expression, breathing heavily.
What is this? Stop it, Jaden. My back really is sensitive.
Notice the name change. Huh? Meow, is that you? The next instant, she shook her head, and there was Meow's face, still bright red but enraged.
Get your hands off of me.
The face. Okay, well, that was a chapter in the video, I guess.
That's a thing that happened.